from the All Indiana Podcast Network. It's Diversity Focus Today, a weekly discussion bringing awareness to cultural diversity in greater Indianapolis and surrounding areas. Now, here's your host, Rickie Solid Gold Clark.
And welcome once again to another edition of Diversity Focus Today. I'm your host, Rickie Clark, along with our reporters on the scene, Dr. T, Tammy Harris over there, and attorney Mike Murray over his side. So, and of course, our great director-producer, Alan Hall. You can't see him right now, but he's at work making things happen for us. Okay, we've had so many things that have occurred, and you know, what can I say other than the fact that remember to register and vote. We constantly want to pound that.
And go follow through.
And follow through. And it's not, you need more than that. You register, but you got to follow through when election time comes and vote. Please. Everybody's life may depend on that.
And bring your kids. Let them learn early.
Oh, yeah. Dr. T had an interesting story in one of the episodes where she shared that she woke up one morning and maybe not feeling it, but her son said, "Mom, we have to go vote."
His first time, 18 years old, he was ready. I was like, okay.
Let's go vote.
Waited all your life.
And my daughter was excited about voting. My son was not too much into it until I had to talk to him about what that meant. And especially for us, you know, it was like, people died for your right to do this, kid.
Right.
Now, yeah, so let's go vote.
Yes.
Hit it and quit it and be the best that ever did it.
And that's even interesting because the comments that all these things that's been going on, anonymous posts on the comments was talking about voting in order to save America's last dying breath.
Yeah, that was the post that you received, and so obviously our listeners and our viewers are becoming more and more involved. Can you summarize that statement?
This person was saying how the current GOP, he used the word they a lot, and he a lot, which is President Trump, is really draining out the middle class and taking away the money that we fed into the government for services. For our health, for our medical, for our veterans, for our teachers, and how it's just being depleted to feed the higher end of the population, the 1% of billionaires and so forth. And he was going on and on about the different examples and how it's being guised as debt and fraud. You know, the words that scare you to want to take action, but there really isn't, because they are the man in the mirror of delivering the debt and the fraud. So he said the only way to deal with this is to go vote, all caps, VOTE, before we lose our last dying breath as America.
No. Well.
So I'm wondering, what does the last dying breath for us listeners and for you all look like? Do you feel it? Do you? Is it exasperation? Is it desperation? Is it confusion? Is it happiness? You know, we know how it feels in our own selves and watching loved ones go through that process of passing over or dying. But what about our country, seeing it and being on it and falling?
Well, and we've never had this occurred before, only because of this president. So he's trying to do everything he possibly can, number one, to stay in office, number two, to maintain that Congress continues to be controlled by the Republicans, and anything and everything, basically he throws up everything to the wall and see what's going to stick. And he's constantly using these executive orders that, you know,
really don't mean nothing.
Don't mean anything other than the fact that under his administration, maybe. But, you know, the things that he does, he gets challenged by court, by people filing lawsuits.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, you would probably know tons and tons a day.
Well, what we're seeing as far as a pattern here is the current occupant of the White House is really trying to expand executive authority. Some people would say he's trying to change the presidency into, you know, a kingship. But he is pushing the boundaries. to see what he can get away with. I think he is quite comfortable with the fact that he's got these people he appointed to the Supreme Court that are going to back him up and allow him to expand the powers of the presidency. The issue, or an issue associated with that, would be, he's not going to be the last president of the United States.
Right.
What happens when the next guy or the next gal gets into that office, and what do they want to do? Although some other people would probably argue he angles to be the last president of the United States, to be the permanent president of the United States. He did make some comments about having another term after this one. But, it's an expansion of the presidency in a way that the United States has never seen before. He is challenging the authority, the legitimacy of the courts. He is basically, with the Congress's consent, he is basically rendering the legislative branch neutered, neutering them. And it's all about the power of the presidency.
Right. Okay. Well, what can we do?
The redistricting plan, that's one of those things that's an effort. But Indiana is considering that. I think we talked before in a previous show about J.D. Vance coming here and talking to Governor Braun about redistricting Indiana. Indiana's solidly Republican with the exception of two districts.
Two districts, that's it.
What are those?
Indianapolis and Gary, Hammond, and up north.
Yeah.
Gary, Indiana, Hammond, Indiana, East Chicago, that particular area up north.
And he got pushback, though, from Republicans about not really wanting to go down that slippery slope, as you would say.
Yeah, there's some pushback from the Republicans here in the state of Indiana. So we don't know what's going to transpire on that at this particular moment.
I'm curious too why people push back on that idea. I didn't hear anyone say, I'm going to push back on the idea of redistricting in Indiana because it's not fair or it's not the right thing to do. I heard people say, I'm going to push back on that idea because we don't need to do it. Indiana's already a red state.
Yeah.
So
but it turned blue.
It's a nuance.
But then it turned blue with Barack.
It turned blue with Barack, yeah. But, then the other thing is some of the legislators they've heard from their constituents that said, look, let's not push the envelope. You've already got the lead in everything as far as this being a red state. But if you keep pushing, then those that are allowing us to become and continue to be a red state might flip the script.
Right. See, and you do. You still have the opportunity to vote what you want to vote.
Yeah, you can say you don't have to vote because the GOP says vote for us.
Right.
You can flip the script. You can vote for whomever you feel comfortable with. And right now, they're not doing anything for us here in the state of Indiana, just like they're not doing anything for us in the United States. We've got a president that would get an F in foreign policy. We've seen that here recently with his meeting with
Putin, his daddy.
Putin, yeah. And so
they said he was calling to ask permission or to get feedback from the meetings he was just having with Lewinsky, with the Ukrainian president, wasn't he? Like he called after he met with them. He went back and made more calls to Putin.
Well, when they had the European Union that came with
President Zelensky.
Zelensky. And I'm glad that they came. That was a great backup because, Trump has a tendency of trying to manipulate.
Right.
And it's hard to manipulate when you've got 7 other folks there that are
hearing it.
Yeah, part of the European nation. And so,
well, after that last visit to the White House,
they came
Zelensky and Trump got into a shouting match.
We go back.
So do y'all get that from them showing up and supporting him? Is that another sign of America is dying? That
I certainly think it is.
Okay.
Because America, based on our chief foreign relations person, the current occupant of the White House, we are ceding our role as a leader in defending democracy. And what we're seeing here is Jens Stoltenberg, who's the president of the NATO.
NATO,
And then president of France, Macron, other people are basically stepping into the void that used to be occupied by the president of the United States in defending democracy. And they are saying, listen, we cannot allow an aggressor to snatch territory and then we endorse it with a ceasefire deal. They're
After
saying
the fact.
no. Yeah, they're saying no. We are going to stand with Zelensky and protect and promote democracy. That used to be the United States.
So would they fight President Trump or turn against us if we still side with Putin?
I don't know.
They're not going to go along with it.
Right.
But they're not going to
resisting it.
Right.
Yeah.
So at what point is that? Yeah.
Well, he's already dissed some of them.
That's what I'm saying.
But
It's
this
already
tariff,
there.
by this again at 25%, that, and the 50%.
And they already reorganized and trading the value of the American dollar is down anyway.
Yeah.
So it is dying. So the people getting together, alliances are now against us. The money going down is against us.
Well,
divided.
I liken it to a heart attack or something. You have a heart attack, and the muscle of the heart gets damaged. Then the body kind of reroutes veins and arteries and whatever. It reroutes to go around the obstruction and form a different way of surviving. And I think that's kind of what the country or what the world is doing now. They realize that the United States is not going to be the world leader anymore. That they can't rely on the United States for democracy protection and defense and for their own economic interests, so they are finding ways around us.
Right.
Sure.
So in that sense, I guess I would say,
that's
an indication of America's dying breath. We are taking a back seat willingly to world affairs.
And I'm wondering, like you were mentioned earlier, Mike, if someone come in and take this place, whether it be a Democrat or whoever, they have to go back and redo. But at what point what do we keep? What could we take away from what Trump is doing to add on what we used to be? Because obviously the system wasn't strong enough to support what we were doing to have what we have now. So something was fractured in what America was doing anyway. I don't think it just happened. It was just, I think Trump was maybe tapping the glass to see where the broken pieces are and filtered on it. So I'm wondering, what do you believe, or you, Rickie, to say what was fractured enough that has to be fixed within the Democratic or any one party to make it better with what he's doing and how to regain ourselves from, as other countries are kind of like going their separate ways. That's a big task for whoever coming up.
Yeah, it is. Huge. And I'm not sure where the starting point is, except I would say, there's an old saying about, divide and conquer.
Which is what's happening.
Exactly what's happening. That is what Putin is doing. That's the foreign policy he's using to break up NATO, divide and conquer. He saw a way in with the current occupant of the White House. But domestically, we are a fractured people. And I think the current occupant of the White House saw something that he could manipulate. I'm not one of those people that always goes and says racism, but, I think there was an issue in race relations going back to the election of President Obama that Trump tapped into, and here we are.
Yeah.
His favorite people are the uneducated.
He said that. I love the uneducated.
Right, so educating yourself, being able to speak and research.
I don't understand why people aren't offended by that, because basically what he's saying is, I love stupid people because I can manipulate you, But
they don't know. I mean, whatever. Turning more locally, Governor Braun, I just found out recently that he's not living in the governor's mansion on a full-time basis, because Alan mentioned the fact that, hey, his wife
doesn't
like it. So I think I was told
that
he's
was
spending
his speculation.
No, yeah, $24,000 to $25,000 thus far by taking a helicopter from his estate in Jasper and flying a helicopter flight to Indianapolis, I guess maybe on a daily basis or however long and that's $24,000 to $25,000. That's just going to continue to add up. Now, I don't think that should have been part of the deal. The state,
Right.
we as citizens provide him a very luxurious home here in Indianapolis, Indiana, that has the best security. It's got security, state troopers in and around all the time, cameras everywhere. And I'm sure he gets to eat the finest foods and so on. He probably does anyway since he's rich. Yes, Governor Braun is a millionaire plus, folks. If you didn't know, he's a millionaire made over umpteen times. So if you want to take a helicopter, you should pay for it yourself.
True that.
Than having we citizens of Indiana pay for your luxury ride in a helicopter. You can or get in the car and take, I don't know how far Jasper is, at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, in a vehicle.
Who decides that? Who is it?
I
Part
guess-
of
Governor?
The governor, yeah. The governor.
I guess if you can build a ballroom and take away the Rose Garden, you can go in a helicopter to and from your home.
That's the governor, yeah.
But I mean,
So,
just he wants to be like the other person.
well, yeah, he wants to be
Yeah.
like that other person, right?
I've heard people make snippets and jokes that he's a wannabe of.
Yeah. I heard
Yeah,
that
he
too.
wants to be, I'd like to be the president too, but I mean, come on. But so, folks, you need to write letters, you need to raise all kind of hell about that. I mean, I guess as the governor you can do that, but where's our property tax relief that you promised to do and which you have not done? So, and there's so many other things that he's promised to do that he has not done. You need to bring your lieutenant governor in because he's gone wild. You can't control him at all, what he says and what he does. So we are really in a pickle without any juice.
Yeah, this is the guy who made the comment about the 3/5 compromise being reasonable.
Yeah. So, boy, if you're in Indiana, folks, we have a problem. Big problem on that. Of course, I guess if you're here in America, we got a problem too because look at what we got in the White House. And now, I think you guys mentioned he wants to build a ballroom on the White House lawn.
Attachment, yeah.
An attachment.
But they used to have it in the garden or outside, and he was like, well, the tents were nasty and it was weather. We need a nice look. And he's supposed to be paying for it himself with donor money.
I believe that when I see it.
Ballroom money.
I can't, he speaks with forked tongue at least, 60, 75,000 times, maybe a month.
It's supposed to be done in September. I think it's supposed to be done within a year. He's wanting to enjoy it real soon.
Yeah, spend money on that, but not spend money on kids.
And food and all that. Right.
Healthcare, with the SNAP program, all those programs that he's doing his very best to eliminate. So.
And I even read somewhere where I don't know if it was one of his sons. Yeah, I think it was one of his sons that has said that because banks turned away from Trump, he had to go into crypto type of that money and stuff. So, anything about that? Why the banks?
Well, I know if I was a bank, I wouldn't loan him anything. He's bankrupt at least 5 times.
So he make his money in other coins. What is it?
Well, yeah, that and his Truth Social, which I guess he owns 40% of that or 41% of that. And he's making money left and right. He's the only president, and I'm not saying. Maybe I should say he's not the only president. I'm sure maybe other presidents have made money, but not significant amount of money or right in your face, I'm making this money. And I don't care what you think or say.
He's using the auspices of the presidency to promote his private money-making interests
Yes.
more
family.
than anybody.
Him and his family,
any
yes.
other person who's ever occupied that office, and it's blatant.
Right. Yes.
Here buy a Trump phone. Trump Bible,
gym shoes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some gold
really,
shoes.
really, he's turned that office
That's
into
made in
a
China?
marketing arm for Trump products.
And Congress seems to be all right with it. Of course, Congress, is, the Republicans hold control in the House and the Senate, which we have the opportunity to change that with the midterms coming up in 2026, November of 2026. Remember that date, November of 2026. And I would imagine.
Is it 11th, the actual day, or the 12th?
I don't know what date it is. No, used to be the first Tuesday.
Yeah, first Tuesday.
First Tuesday in November. But
7th.
that's when we have the opportunity to change that, to remove the Republicans and put the Democrats in control, So
And I think
we gotta
that's,
do that.
again, what people are asking. Okay, they're in control. They kind of have been in control. What's going to be different? That's
We
Yes.
haven't, what I just said.
I need them to verbalize. We see what Newsom he's doing.
Gavin Newsom,
is
right,
doing
which
and
he's
all, but
fighting fire with fire, and that's the other
Right.
thing that people are saying. Democrats don't lay down and die.
Right.
Fight like and if he's fighting dirty, you fight dirty.
Right. Which
Come
he's
on.
definitely doing, and the hypocrisy around that.
Yeah, you see what's going on in Texas. They don't. The Democrats, of course, have come back, but now they want to hold several of them hostage because they won't sign a paper
Sign the
saying,
paper.
"I'm giving
Follow
you
you."
permission to have a state trooper follow me everywhere I go."
And that I won't leave the
State.
capital or
Yeah.
leave the state without being escorted by a state trooper. That's house arrest sounds like to me.
Yeah,
Right.
that's.
And I really wonder what authority the Speaker of the House in
Has
in
that. Yeah, who has
Texas
that?
has to do that. It must be something in their local rules, but I can't imagine
Me neither.
somebody
filing
telling
a-
you
right.
can't leave the state without a state trooper. But
Right. And
I
they
don't know what
filing
their
a,
local rules are.
lawsuit now.
Yeah.
So legally, you don't know if that's
I don't know.
What
I
it
haven't
is.
I haven't done any research to look up what the local rules. But as a legislative body, they generally have province to set their own rules and procedures, just like the national legislature. But they still got to operate within a constitutional
true
framework.
that.
I don't know whether they're doing that or not.
But this whole thing that started that fight is this Texas redistricting plan,
Yeah.
which, as we were talking about earlier, J.D. Vance came to Indiana to suggest that we do that here. And I'm still baffled. I just don't understand why people aren't more upset about this whole Project 2025 effort to redistrict across the United States. The only point of doing that is so that one party, the GOP, can hold on to power. And it's all about the power. It's not about seeking the fair, adequate representation
Right,
of the
the
people.
people.
Right.
We just want to draw these lines so that we can keep the power. Why aren't people upset about that? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Because everybody's being affected, and if you're not being affected thus far, you will.
Yeah.
You will. It will
gonna
reach out
trickle
and
down.
grab you.
When you least expect it.
Yeah.
If it ain't already, it's happening. Like America is dying, so it's already happening.
The whole point, of our society being, multifaceted. The whole point is to accommodate all of the different views in our
Exactly.
our melting pot,
melting
and
pot.
live by a certain set of rules and freedoms, letting people do what they want. For the most part, but not adversely affecting everyone else.
Right.
And
we can enjoy each other's cultures.
Right, exactly.
And it's been that way for
Look, folks,
a
we're going to
while.
do something, because if he's willing to send federal troops, he's already done that in California. Now he's doing it, of course, in D.C.
And he got other governors sending national troops down there now.
To help. I mean,
who
come
else?
on.
Who were those states that sent their national troops? to-
Ohio, West Virginia, and I think...
Texas, I think.
Well, Texas.
No,
No.
I think it was one of the Carolinas. South Carolina.
South Carolina, I
South
believe.
Carolina, yeah. So, I mean, troops, trying
they in
to...
the tourist
Troops on
end.
the streets of America.
Yeah.
And then they're on the
Right.
touristy part. They said they're not even in the areas where the crime is even occurring. They're walking around the tourist parts of D.C.
So they're not being...
So that's
but,
more
I'm
money.
going to tell you, well,
More money.
Right.
more money. D.C., there's certain areas that, and then I can't see a lot of the folks, especially hardcore criminals, going to do anything that this administration says, orders, or whatever. They would give them the finger, give them that middle finger.
Somebody
yeah,
threw a
right.
sandwich. This one man threw a sandwich at him.
Yeah, and they arrested him.
Arrested him
Now,
for charging him
that's
a
going to be
federal
thrown out of
crime.
court. Well, that's assault for a sandwich that he threw on
Right.
you. Come on.
Tell him to get out our neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's what he's
going on,
I
folks.
think he's waiting for that unrest, like they did on.
Cause a problem and then say, oh, we need troops to fix this problem we caused.
Right, but they're creating a problem, but this problem's not really there or happening.
Yeah, so we got to make the change. We've got to do, and we've got to be aware of what's going on. You know, I go back to since we're based out of Indiana, this Governor Braun taking a helicopter and spending our tax money, $24,000-$25,000 thus far, to go from his home in Jasper, Indiana, to here in Indianapolis, Indiana, where we have always provided the governor a luxury house, you know, and the prime everything, the best of the best in everything. And it's my understanding and I'm just call it out. I was told because his wife doesn't like it, and she don't want to be there. Well, then resign from being the governor.
I don't think
Resign from being the governor's wife
in the White House, do she? She don't live there.
No,
Melania?
She stays in Florida.
Right.
So
Right.
once again, Braun is following Trump. You know, oh, you know, your wife didn't. Okay, well, let me do the same thing that you're doing.
And you had something too. What did you have to share?
Oh yeah, I was just talking about the 14th of August was the National Navajo Code Talkers Day.
Okay.
Celebrated every year on the 14th. And in case people out there don't remember, since we have had this assault on diversity going on in this country, the Code Talkers were Native American Navajo Indians who served in the Marine Corps in World War II.
Okay.
And through use of their language, they were able to help the United States send coded messages amongst the troops and the allies to help us win the war.
Okay.
And so, every year we pay tribute to the National Code Talkers, and I think there are something like maybe 2 of them left. And if I got the names right, one of them that's remaining is Thomas H. Beggy, and the other one is Peter McDonald Sr. So two war heroes that contributed to the welfare and survival of this country and democracy.
See that? I mean, and that should be lifted up, but. We know the person, as you pointed, like in the White House, is trying to do away with things in the museum. But we'll have to carry that on in another show, so I don't want to get started on that, and we got to go. What else? Tell us more. So anyway, we got to go. So remember, it takes both black and white keys of a piano to play the Star Spangled Banner.
Amen.
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 And amen. And with that thought in mind, we are now going to leave you. And we'll see you next time around on Diversity Focus Today with our team right here. All right, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
This is Diversity Focus Today with Rickie Solid Gold Clark. Watch Sundays on Wish TV. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast and check out other great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Online now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.